So talking about parallel and perpendicular lines, parallel lines are two lines that never intersect. And what makes that happen is that they have the same slope. So their rate is the same, so they'll never slant in or slant out and end up crossing anywhere. Um, so if you want to know if two lines are parallel, you check to see if their slope's the same. Also, the symbol for parallel is two, um, they look like L's or two parallel lines or two bars. So let's look at an example. It says find a line parallel to the graph y equals negative 1/4 x minus 2 that passes through the point negative 3, 6. This one's nice because it's already in y equals mx plus b. The only thing we need from this line is its slope, because to be parallel, they've got to have the same slope. I don't care where it crosses the y-intercept, I just want the same slope. So I'm going to take that slope of negative 1/4 and go through the point negative 3, 6. So again, just like in the last video, we're going to use our point slope form, where m is negative 1/4, x1 is negative 3, and y1 is 6. So I've got y minus 6 equals negative 1/4. X minus a negative 3 would give you a positive 3. And then I need to distribute to get rid of my parentheses. So I've got y minus 6 equals negative 1/4 x minus, when I do negative 1/4 times 3, top times top, bottom times bottom. So that's going to give me a negative 3/4. One last step, I need to get y by itself, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I've got y equals negative 1/4 x. And then remember, if I have negative 3/4 plus 6, I need to get a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 4 to get negative 3/4 plus 24 over 4. And then once my denominator is the same, I can add the tops. So negative 3 plus 24 is going to give me 21. So I'm going to have plus 21/4. And like I said before, just leave it as an improper fraction. It's exact, and your homework will take it like that. Okay, next we have perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines intersect at a 90-degree angle. So parallel never intersects. I left out my R in intersects. So perpendicular intersects at a 90-degree angle. So what this means is your slope is opposite reciprocal. What that means is it's completely opposite, which means you're going to flip it and change the sign. So here, if you notice, this line has a slope of 3, and this line has a slope of negative 1/3. So they've taken that 3 and put it over 1 and flipped it and changed the sign of it to get negative 1/3. So here, this next example, it says find a line perpendicular to the graph of 5x plus 3y equals 1 that passes through the point 3, 5. Now this one's a little trickier because they didn't give me the original equation in y equals. So I'm going to start by putting it in y equals. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So I've got 3y equals, and I'm going to put my x term first, just so it's in mx plus b form. and then I'm going to divide by 3 to get y by itself. So that gives me the equation y equals negative 5/3 x plus 1/3. And the only part I need from this equation is the slope. So to be perpendicular to that, my slope needs to be the opposite reciprocal, which means I'm going to flip it, and it was negative, so I'm going to make it positive. Now I repeat the same steps as before, going through the point 3,5. So I've got y minus 5 equals 3/5 times x minus 3. So I've got y minus 5 equals 3/5 x, and this is going to be minus 9/5 when I multiply 3/5 times 3. And then I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So that's going to give me y equals 3/5 x. And then I'm going to go down here. I got negative 9/5 plus 5. So I need to multiply top and bottom by 5, which is going to give me negative 9/5 plus 25/5. So that'll give me 16/5. So I've got a positive 16/5 is my y-intercept. So just remember, parallel means same slope, perpendicular means opposite reciprocal slope. So what you're going to see on your homework is you'll see where it wants you to write an equation of the line that is parallel and a line perpendicular to another line that passes through a specific point. So again, here I've got an equation that's not in y equals, so let's put it in y equals first. I'm going to move my 4x to the other side, so it'll become negative, and then divide by 3. So I'll have y equals negative 4/3 x plus 4, but I really only need the slope from this, so I don't even care about the y-intercept. So let's do parallel first, because remember, it wants a line that's parallel and a line that's perpendicular. So parallel means my slope is negative 4/3, and I've got to pass through the point they gave me, which is negative 1/5. So I've got y minus 5 equals negative 4/3 times x minus a negative, so it'll be plus 1. I'm going to distribute. Negative 4/3 times 1 is just negative 4/3. And then I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I've got negative 4/3 plus 5 over 1. And so I need to change that to a common denominator of 3. So I've got negative 4/3 plus 15/3, which is going to give you 11/3. So it'll be plus 11 over 3. Now for perpendicular, I'm going to do the same thing, but this time my slope is going to be a positive 3/4. But I'm going through the same point. So I've got y minus 5 equals 3/4 x plus 1. Now, I don't think that's just going to change the slope from here. and make it perpendicular. When you distribute, it's going to change the y-intercept too. So don't just try to change the slope. You got to change everything. So here when I add 5 to both sides, I'm going to end up with 3/4 plus 5. I got to change that. My common denominator is 4, not 5. So you're going to have 3/4 plus 20 over 4, which will be 23 over 4. Okay, one last example of parallel and perpendicular. It says write the equation of a line that is parallel and a line perpendicular to y equals 3 that passes through the point 5, -6. So this is the same type of problem as before, but this time my line is just y equals 3. So that's going to be the line, the horizontal line that passes through 3. Now I want a line that's parallel to that and a line that's perpendicular that passes through the point 5, -6. So this point right here is 5, -6. So if I want a line that's parallel through this point, it's going to be this line of y equals -6. So that's my parallel line. Perpendicular passing through the same point is going to be a vertical line at x equals 5. So your perpendicular is going to be the line x equals 5. So horizontal and perpendicular, you won't have a x term, or perpendicular, it will always be x equals. So that, if you understand what's going on there, the picture really helps. You can see that you've got a horizontal and a perpendicular line there. So I hope that helps.